do you think that's what makes a great marketer? So regardless of the role, is this what makes a good marketer for you? Someone who can outline ways to get results and then focuses and does everything they can to deliver them?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's right for every employee in every role. You know, like I mentioned, it's more about being able to drive results as opposed to getting things done. So anyone who comes with that mindset, I also know that they can learn whatever it is they don't know. So just to give you an example, when I actually applied for the social media role, a lot of people who applied had more experience than me, more hands-on experience. And when I asked my manager after, like, why did you end up hiring me? They said, one, you were more knowledgeable than anyone else. So it was clear that you're passionate about this and that you took the time to actually learn. And for us, it meant that you can make up for the lack of experience because you already know what you need to do. It's just about having that, opportunity to do it hands-on. So I think, if you have the right attitude, you can learn anything else. Having said that, it really depends on the level that you're at, because, when I was hiring, employees who were, managers themselves, I had to have people with relevant experience. It's very hard to try and take someone to lead another team when they've never been a manager before. Or when I needed to hire someone to do PR for me, I needed someone who had more than a hunch. I needed someone who's done that 20 times before, because I didn't have the capacity to train them. But if I do have that capacity, I will definitely take someone with passion and enthusiasm and with the right mindset over someone with experience. And I've done that many times before.
Is there any suggestions that you would kind of recommend for time management in terms of getting results? So you've got to the point where you've identified this is going to be a move. If I can focus on this, I'm going to be performing above my role. I'm going to be fulfilling what the company need from me. Is there anything, suggestions around time management? Because I'm sure a lot of people working in offices, I know it's more remote working at the moment, but if you're in an office and you're a part of a team and people coming to you with all these different things and you know that they're quite low leverage tasks and you know what you should be focusing on, is there anything that's helped you personally?
Yeah, so I had to perform my own experiment to actually validate this assumption, but I assumed that 20% of my work is not relevant. Like, no one cares if it happens or if it doesn't happen. It is so low level. It is just like a hunch. Someone just threw it my way. But I was terrified of not doing everything on my list. So I did this experiment. I wrote down everything that I had to do for the next week or two. And I looked at the bottom of the list and I decided I'm not doing it. 3 things, I'm just not doing them. They don't have a huge impact on the business. They're not going to drive me forward in terms of goals. They're nice to have. And the funny part was, no one noticed. No one cared. No one asked me about it. No one remembered that it was supposed to happen. And it didn't affect our results. It was so meaningless that it was just a waste of time. So this is what I do now. Sometimes a week, sometimes a month, depending on how I look at my tasks, I really try and prioritize them by their ability to make an impact on the end goal. And if they're just really nice to have and probably no one's going to miss them, I just completely remove them from my task list. Now, it obviously has to do with common sense, but you also need to know your managers. Some managers are very strict. They don't care if they say something, they want it done. And some managers just kind of trust you to figure out what's important and what's not. But more often than not, you just don't need those tasks. You need to focus on the things that actually, are going to affect your end goal. And you should have a goal. Your role should have 3 to 5 goals, and you need to know what they are, because basically they're your North Star. And they should be measurable so that you know whether or not you're being successful. So your goal shouldn't be, to write 5 blog posts. Your goal should be, I need to generate, traffic to the website. I need 100,000 people to look at my website, or I need 50 people to click on this so they can sign up for my email. So once you are able to put together the right goals, it makes it really easy to say no to tasks that have absolutely no impact on them.
And do you think it's communication then with your direct report to for them to know the goals and for you to know the goals, and then you can kind of look, hang on, like this task is just not going to get us anywhere? Is it communication that's really, does that help?
I think sometimes it really depends on your relationship with your manager, but I would actually say your goals should reflect on your manager's goals. So when you set your own goals, you should start by asking your manager what they're trying to achieve. And whatever you're doing should serve, their top goals, because that way you're completely aligned. And again, I had managers who were more of micromanagers, so they wanted to know everything. So, I would keep them up to date every single week. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what you can expect. And I had managers who were basically like, go do whatever you do. Let me know if there's a problem. And that was that. And I actually had to initiate updates so they know where we stand and give me feedback. So it really depends on how your manager communicates. I'm usually an advocate of communicating more than less. I mean, don't like bombard people with an email every 5 minutes, but at least when I start a new project or a new job, I make sure that once a week I send out a very short and concise summary, like 3 things I'm focused on this week, 3 things we achieved last week. Any questions? I think it really helps put your manager at ease, because they don't have to worry about you. They don't have to constantly ask, are we moving forward? Are we doing the right thing? They just have an answer. And I think with everything going on right now and people working remotely, it is so much, easier. It's so much more important to do this. And I spoke to someone recently and he said, but I don't know what to do. Like, should I Slack them? Should I send an email? And my answer was very simple. Ask them. Ask your manager. I want to give you updates about my work. What's the best way to do that? Do you want a weekly email? Do you want a daily Slack? What works for you? And he circled back to me later and he said, you're a genius. Like, she told me exactly what she wanted, but it was so simple. So yeah, just ask.
From an employee who's trying to grow and trying to achieve things, I can imagine that it's useful to have this, not a trail, but to have this backlog. Like as you're working, you're writing down like, this is what I've achieved, because then when you want to progress in your career, you want to go for that next role, you don't have to look at your old CV from 2 years ago and like start from scratch.
I know, exactly, which is why the last skill in the book is actually about tracking your success, because most people, myself included, don't do that on a regular basis. And then when you need to move forward, you can't remember what you did 2 years ago and what the campaign looked like. So it's really important to take the time, and it's like so simple. It takes like 5 minutes to actually update every time you have a success, even if it's small. And I think it goes a long way in motivating you, because seeing how much you've achieved, I think, is really motivational and really helps you keep going. But on the other hand, it's a great way to actually build your resume as you move forward, or even make a case. I know, when I worked for Google, they had what they called a Google resume. So an internal version of their resume where they constantly updated what they were working on, because if you apply for a promotion or for a different role, you need to show that. So why wait a year till you actually need it when you can build it, every single week or month?
So you said you're very, I can't actually say the word, methodological. It's one of those words. I was trying to think of what different word to say, but I've just tried in here.
Methodical.
Methodical. So you said that you're very methodical, like naturally. So do you recommend a career like roadmap, and how specific should people be? Because me personally, I try and focus on skills. I kind of want to be happy now in my, like, whatever my role is right now. I want to be learning. I want to be present. I want to be taking opportunities. I would kind of focus on the now. And then on contrast, like my brother's a really funny example, because he's like, right, this year I'm going to achieve this. Like, these are my goals for this company. This is what they expect from me. This is how I'm going to improve it. Next year, I want to work for this company. And next year I want to work for this company. And like, he's hitting it each time. And it really makes me wonder, like how has like having these goals or like a roadmap helped you personally? And is that something you recommend? Like, do you have it really specific? Like, did you say like, I want to be a VP in marketing? Did you plan out like, I want to be at this level, and then this is my goal?
So I had the end goal in mind, and I'm actually not there yet. So I was, a VP for a startup, but I want to be a CMO for a public company. And I have like 5 to 10 years to make that happen. But yes, I definitely have an end goal, and I try to look at the path to get there on a yearly basis. So for every year, I actually do have a plan. It's not as precise as we just explained. I don't necessarily know what company I want to work for, but I definitely know how I want to grow. And this is actually why I put together a toolkit to show people how to do that. And I completely understand why you just want to be more in the moment and enjoy what you're doing. I actually think you can do both because they're not mutually, exclusive. If you know where you want to go, let's say that you start, at a junior role as a marketer and you decide that you want to grow into, a manager role. You need to find those opportunities to get some of the experiences that will get you to be a manager. But you don't need to spend like 50% of your time on that. You can have 1 hour a week where you mentor someone. That's enough. But if you don't ask yourself those questions, I think you just forget and you just kind of go with the flow, which there's nothing wrong with it. I just found, at least for me, that I move a lot faster when I have a goal and I make a plan. Because those opportunities don't just land on you. You have to create them. And the funny part is most people think other people control their career, like their managers, the company, and it couldn't be further from the truth. You control your own career. You can get anything you set your mind to if you figure out what you want and you take actionable steps to get there. It may not take 2 months, it may take 2 years, but you will still get there. And I've seen it with many people that I've coached and trained. If you have that goal, you make it happen. And there are steps in the toolkit that I created. There are really small steps you can take, so it's not overwhelming and intimidating, that really help you kind of get through those skills, gaps, whatever it is you need to make up for. And it just, I don't know, it just makes things happen faster and it allows you to actually control it.
Literally, thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much, and I'm sure anyone listening to this will really benefit as well. So how can people get in contact with you, and when can we expect to buy your book?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Maya Grossman, and if you want to read more about the book and download the toolkits and also the first chapter of the book, I'm giving it away for free. Just go to mayagrossman.com and you can find everything. The book should come out, pre-orders in August, and officially launch in September.
And what's the full title of the book?
The book is called Invaluable: Master the Skills You Need to Skyrocket Your Career. And it's basically a step-by-step guide for the 10 skills, the 10 soft skills that I honestly believe can, help you grow your career regardless of what you do. And it's what helped me, work for companies like Microsoft and Google, but also get promoted 10 times in 15 years. So if that's where you want to go, that's definitely the book for you.